So, All Crust are back after a promising start, but it was one that lacked a lot of their own DNA. And yes, that is how the band's name is pronounced. Don't ask me, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. Their debut album, The Approbation, landed in 2023 with Shadowy Weight, a melancholic monolith with heavy Porcupine Tree vibes and a generous slice of Opethian brooding. And now they're following it up with Waving at the Sky, an album that may not reinvent their wheel, but it definitely adds more tread and traction to it. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, my name is Ian, this is Rhyme Signatures, and we are once again opening the lid on the best new releases in prog, rock, and metal. So, back in 2023, I'd only been doing this channel for about a year or so, and it felt interesting to me at the time to be reviewing a brand new band. I was, after all, a brand new music review channel, and I was chasing the style and vibe of my contemporaries. Like so many of us in this space, especially when starting out, we look to our peers or colleagues, and those who have the success that we want in order to form the foundations of our own budding empires. All Crust definitely felt like that was their modus operandi with their debut album. It was equal parts Deadwing-era Porcupine Tree and Ghost Reverie's Opeth with a little shake of their own secret sauce to keep it from feeling like a completely derivative knockoff. And it was a fun time. I enjoyed the album immensely in spite of the obvious and somewhat on-the-nose influences, and you can see from the setup behind me, I ended up adding it as a permanent addition to my library. But over the last couple of years, I've found myself wondering what kind of band All Crust could be if they just ventured out from underneath the umbrella of their influences a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting the band to go from this Porcupeth style to suddenly becoming a Scandinavian dubstep beat poetry band or anything like that. But I wanted to see more of them, more of the personality and individualism that they skirted with in their debut, to make an album that truly showed us who All Crust are. I know that I'm not the only person to have shared these thoughts, concerns and feelings though, as from all of the discourse I consumed about the band after my own review of The Approbation, it was clear that this was the main sticking point for most people. So, with a couple of years now behind them, the experience gained through their debut album and the follow-up now firmly lodged into my brain space for the past few weeks thanks to the lovely folk of Inside Out Music for giving me a pre-release copy of the album, I am ready to tackle Waving at the Sky by the horns and answer the question, who are All Crust? Right, let's cut to the chase here. Waving at the Sky certainly isn't any kind of sophomore slump, but it isn't the revolution and firm proclamation of identity that I was perhaps hoping for. This is more of a sophomore sculpt, chiseling their self-image with greater precision, but still carrying the stencils of their influences behind them. It's still moody, melodic, and soaked in Scandinavian gloom, but there's a real sense of forward motion here. This isn't a radical revolution, it's a modular evolution. All Crust are refining rather than redefining, but honestly, that's largely okay when the results are this tight. Instrumentally, the band's gotten leaner and meaner, the rhythms hit harder, the atmosphere's denser, and the compositions are punchier without losing their contemplative sprawl. The production's been sharpened too, crisper guitars, warmer bass, drums that feel more locked in. You get the sense they knew exactly what kind of story they wanted to tell this time. So let's talk about the vocals for a second. Simon Bergset's clean singing has definitely improved. His phrasing is better, his control is tighter, there's more shape to the delivery, but much like the first album, I still feel it's one of the weaker links in an otherwise stellar chain. There are moments where the emotional payload is just, begging for more resonance, more bite, more, something. It's like watching a stunning sunset through a slightly foggy window. You get the full picture, sure, but not the full immersion. His growls, however, remain absolutely bloody excellent, dripping in the kind of resonant atmospheric delivery that you'd expect from any top-tier progressive death metal band. I feel that All Crust are at their strongest when they allow these harder moments to take the lead, but the cleaner, melodic parts are definitely a step up from how they were on The Approbation. And then you got the guest feature that will no doubt have prog fans flipping out. Ross Jennings of Haken pops up on lead single The Malevolent. Now, I love Ross, I really genuinely do, but at this point the man is starting to become prog's answer to Bradley Walsh. Blink and he's harmonising in your dreams, guesting in your Spotify queue, playing Triangle on your uncle's Yes tribute band, I don't know. Now he's good here, of course he's good here. His voice is as silky and expressive as it always is, but the song doesn't feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it needs him. It's not a bad fit, just not a particularly transformative one. Where the album does shine, however, is how it balances tension and release. Tracks like Families Are Forever and Conflating Memories weave these slow-burning build-ups into cathartic crashes of sound. You really feel them drag you to the edge and push you off. There's a sense of narrative to the flow, like each song is a chapter in a greater emotional arc. The instrumental interplay is just across the board. Keyboards shimmer, guitars swell and stab, and the rhythm section lays down grooves that feel carved into stone. There's a confidence here that's new for them, and it helps the experience feel much less imitation and more intuition. Some of the guitar solos are genuinely brilliant, and mark Edvard Sign out as someone to really keep an eye on in the future. And just as the previous album ended on a title track mini-epic, so ends Waving at the Sky, and far be it from the band to break from tradition. It's easily the best song on the album. This also feels where the band is finally shaking off the shackles of their influences and starting to blossom into their own thing. We are starting to really see beyond the facade and see who Orcrust really are. There's a melancholy that's becoming more their own, structuring that's becoming more identifiable, and a sense of stepping out from the shadows to show the modern progressive metal world they are ready to forge their own path. So who are Orcrust? If we carry on the way we have been doing, I could see them as the next big headliners, but we are not quite there just yet. Right, okay, I'm not here to totally snub the band for relying on their influences, okay? I've done enough of that already in this review, I know. And in truth, it's honestly never really bothered me that much in the first place. But it still feels relevant to mention it, as I know it will remain a sticking point for many. So let's bury the hatchet on the matter. Yes, this is still a Porcupine Tree / Opeth influenced album, but dang it all, that doesn't really matter, right? Let's just focus on the music, okay? So what cons have I found with the music this time around? Honestly, I don't really have a great deal to actually complain about. My criticisms from the first album have largely been ironed out. The clean vocals are much improved, as I've already touched on, and there's a greater sense of focus to the whole experience. The band have approached Waving at the Sky with clear and learned knowledge from their first album. The rough edges have been smoothed, the fuzzier elements brought into focus, and everything tarted up nicely in a package that really doesn't have anything specific to be that negative about. But weirdly, that's one of my concerns with the album. It's clean, it's polished, it's professional and consummately performed, but in a way it lacks a bit of heart. To look at things from a subjective standing, it's almost too safe. Orcrust aren't taking any real risks here on Waving at the Sky. It all feels a little clinical in places. I'd love to see them try out something outlandish and crazy, if only to help them stand out more in an increasingly busy skyline. Progressive metal is becoming more and more popular, and I listen to an awful lot of bands these days, so the lines between them are kinda getting blurry for me. Waving at the Sky is hard to pick genuine fault with, but also hard to differentiate it from a lot of other bands out there. As I've said, everything is well produced, it's well implemented and structured, but it just lacks a little bit of that crucial bite, that little bit of extra spice to make them stand out against an increasingly saturated market. I cannot stress enough how I'd love these guys to try something incredibly crazy on album 3, as I feel that if they can't push past and truly grow as artists, then we're going to end up with another situation like Soen, constantly treading water over the same themes and ideas and never really doing what a progressive metal band should be doing. Progressing. So, what else can I possibly say about Orcrust's Waving at the Sky? In the end, this record isn't trying to be a masterpiece. This isn't Blackwater Park or Deadwing. It just tries to be better than what came before. And it really is. It's more focused, more polished, more them. I still think there's room to grow, but the trajectory they're on is undeniable. Orcrust are an interesting band for me. They came together out of nowhere a couple years back, and they managed to set the progressive metal world alight with conversation and discourse. I ultimately landed on the side of Team Orcrust. The music is always engaging and fun to listen to, never really giving me cause to reach out for the stop button. But it's also not really challenging me enough in ways that other bands this year have managed. Now, I still anticipate great things for the band in their future. They're still young and still finding their feet. I mean, after all, look at their chief influences. Opeth only really became legendary with their third album of My Arms, Your Hearse, and Porcupine Tree only really shattered the glass ceiling with their fifth album, Stupid Dream. Orcrust have got plenty of growing left to do, and I have every confidence that they will be doing some seriously heavy lifting with albums 3 or 4. But for now, I would be recommending a digital purchase of the record. It's a seriously enjoyable time, but it's just not quite there yet. Don't be afraid to get a little crazy on album 3, guys. The potential to be world-beating is all there in your DNA. You've just got to eke it out a little bit more. This is all, of course, guys, just my opinion. The album comes out on Friday, June 13th, so once you've checked it out, if you loved it or hated it, please talk to me about your experiences with the album in the comments down below. Please do drop me a thumbs up if you like the video. Please do tell your friends about little old me. Please do consider buying a t-shirt from my new exciting clothing range, which I'm going to link down below. I get about £1 for every sale, so yay, millionaire's lifestyle, here we come. And as always, guys, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you've been enjoying my content so far. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.